What's the word? My name is VINNIE PAZ. Shout out Montreux, Philadelphia. This is just one record.
One record. Just one record.
Wow, man. I'm running things through my head because for me, I feel like, you know, most people listen to their thing. Like I listen to rap or I listen to punk rock, but I grew up listening to funk and jazz and soul and the Beatles and hip hop and punk rock and metal, and you know, this was around me. So there's like, I'm thinking Talking Book by Stevie Wonder or Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys or Nation of Millions by Public Enemy, and I'm torn between what. But I think maybe Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys is the perfect record. Perfect. In every way possible. So, yeah, I think that's it. Beach Boys, Pet Sounds.
I may not always love you, but long as there are stars above you, you never need to doubt it. I'll make you so sure about it. God only knows what I'd be without you.
God Only Knows is on there, and I think that's the most perfect song ever written, ever. In any music, I think it's the most perfect song. So just for that, you know, I think maybe Nation of Millions by Public Enemy might be the best rap record ever made.
I got a letter from the government the other day. I opened and read it. It said they were suckers. They wanted me for their army or whatever. Picture me giving a damn. I said never. Here's a land that never gave a damn about a brother like me and myself, because they never did. I wasn't with it, but just that very minute it occurred.
Since I'm only allowed one, that's the name of the game, right? Just one record. So I can't pick all three, you know. But like Stevie Wonder records were huge to me, you know, my parents and stuff, and PE being a hip hop head from my generation, like life changing. But like I said, man, I think the best song ever written was God Only Knows by the Beach Boys. So it would have to be Pet Sounds. You know, I don't know. I think Brian Wilson's genius, like the time that they were big, it's like everything was the Beatles, you know. The Beatles were geniuses, and like when Brian Wilson heard them, he was so blown away. He was on a date with a girl and had to pull the car over because he couldn't believe what he was hearing, you know. So like, again, man, this is so hard because then other shit's coming into my head too, like the Phil Spector records and Wall of Sound. But Brian Wilson was such a genius, man. Like, well, it is a genius, you know. It's kind of hard to give an answer as to why, just because it's like, if you see the perfect painting and someone says, well, why is that the perfect painting? I don't know, I just feel like it's beautiful, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't have a technical reason as to why it's the best. I just feel like everything involved with it and the songwriting, but more like the way it makes me feel, you know? I think everything that I've ever been drawn to was because of feel. Like a lot of people will say, like, well, technically this guy is like the best guitarist ever, but sometimes it doesn't have like feeling. They're just great technically, or maybe this guy's technically the best drummer, or this guy technically he's the illest DJ, but you don't feel any soul or something, you know. So it's like the Beach Boys were never considered soul music, but the true sense of the word to soul music is shit that moves your soul. It could be hip hop, it could be punk, it could be, you know, soul music moves your soul. So I think that's what it was, you know, about that song. And again, that's what leads me to pick that. But like you said, man, like I don't have a reason why specifically, and I think that The fact that I don't have a reason why, that's the reason why. Because there's beauty in it and I can't explain why. You know what I mean? I felt like, oh, all right, these guys are doing like just one record. That's an ill concept. Like, what's the illest song then to me? And then what, you know, I just think Brian Wilson was such a genius, and their harmonies, and yeah, like I said, man, like you could probably do 5 hours with me talking about it, because I could go down every avenue, you know what I mean? But just one record, so I have to choose. That's it.
I once had a dream, so I packed up and
yeah, I remember my father playing it for me when I was little, but I didn't really understand it. I think that happens with a lot of music when you're young. You realize when you're older, like, oh, I like this, but I didn't understand why, or I didn't understand what they were talking about, you know what I mean? So that's the other crazy thing about music, because I feel like you understand it differently at different times in your life. It's like, you know, The Catcher in the Rye, the book? The Catcher in the Rye, J.D. Salinger. Like, I'll read it every 5 years and it'll feel different, because I'm different, you know what I mean? And I feel like that way about the Beach Boys stuff. Some stuff, it never changes, and that's how I judge greatness. I can go back to that record that's, you know, 50 years old, almost 50 years old, and it still holds up, you know what I mean? So that's like, it's crazy to me that someone could write something and 50 years later I still care, you know what I mean? That's real genius, I think, you know what I mean? Something like A Nation of Millions, you know, next year it'll be 30 years old. We still love it. Why is that? You know what I mean? It's because it was brilliant, you know? Like genius personified, you know what I mean? So like, I think things that hold the test of time sort of become like in this upper echelon, you know what I'm saying? As opposed to, you ever listen to a record you liked like when you were a kid, you're like, oh, this wasn't really that good. I liked it then, but I don't really love it now. It didn't grow well, you know? And then the classics stand the test of time, you know what I'm saying? So I think like they're one of a very select few, you know, where I'm still hearing stuff now, 40, 50 years later from when they recorded it, and recognizing things that I didn't recognize when I was little, because my mind wasn't advanced enough, you know, and they were doing a lot of acid, and you know, those guys were taking acid a lot, and just doing weird shit in the studio that was never heard of at that time, and you know, just have infinite respect for Brian Wilson, man. And you know, Dennis Wilson, the drummer, was like hanging out with Charles Manson at the time too, so. I don't know, man, because like, I think things can influence you without influencing your sound. It influenced me as a person, but I don't think like you could hear that in my music. But I think things influence you in different ways. Maybe how your behavior, or how you appreciate the world, or how you see the world, or because like, I remember, you know, those guys like, well, they're called the Beach Boys. They were talking about the early records. They were talking about like surfing and the beach in California, girls and shit like that. And I didn't understand that where I was from. You know what I mean? So it was like, you know, before the internet, before traveling, you had to be taken to places by art. You know what I mean? So like those dudes were, you know, they influenced how I saw like the way that music can help you communicate, you know what I mean, with people all over the world. So in that way, yeah, but not sonically, you know.
This is an empty place, Paul, trust me, don't go there. The Jezebel dwell there, way too many hoes there. It's not for every everybody, so you shouldn't poke your nose there. The watch say Panerai, the sweater say Mohair. If 5-0 ask you where you going, say nowhere. Mind your fucking B.I. I'm trying to make some throw hair. I'm trying to make moves and you fucking up my flow hair. Asking for an answer when you know nobody know hair. We ran up into Macy's cause they...
I'm trying to like, in between, in Jedi Mind Tricks albums, there's just stuff I can't do, so I try to do them on my solo shit, you know? So like, I just reach out to people that I'm a fan of and enjoy working with and see if they feel the same way about it, you know? So like, I work with people like, you know, Oh No, I try not to, I used to overthink shit a lot, man, when I was younger, and my approach to it. And I stopped doing that because it's not healthy to overthink art that way. I think it's being over analytical. You just end up walking in circles. So I just kind of just make records that I feel like when I was a kid I would want to hear from guys that I listened to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really think shit is that complicated. I think I overcomplicated things when I was younger. Not just music, just life. Shit isn't really that difficult. We choose to make it more difficult than it is. Life is actually very simple, but we choose to overcomplicate it, you know what I mean? So I think I started looking at music as saying like, this isn't really that difficult, but I've been choosing to overcomplicate it. So what will happen if I stop doing that and just allow instinct to take over? So I just allow my instincts to drive it, you know what I mean? And that's not just that record, it's just everything I do now. It's just instinctual, because that's what got me where I wanted to be in the first place. So it's best to go back to that, you know what I mean? A more instinctual way of creating, rather than overthinking or saying like, oh, well, this type of shit is in now, so should I put some of that on my album? Or this type of style is in now, or this, you know, this type of rap is in now, should I get someone from that world on this record? You know what I mean? Like, it just starts blurring lines between art and commerce and loving something and it being a job, you know what I mean? And once it becomes a job, then my father told me when I was little, it's not a job if you love it. You know what I mean? So, and I never wanted to look at this that way. You know what I mean? And once it started getting there, I had to reevaluate shit and figure out how to make it fun again. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I did. I wanted to go back to having fun. It doesn't necessarily sound fun. The music, I don't really make fun music. But I have fun doing it, you know what I mean? So that's really all that matters to me, you know?
Plenty casualties for my crew blast niggas. I'm Darth Vader with a beard, so you Luke at.
Because I thought it was the punk rock thing to do, to not put my name on an album cover. I thought that was pretty punk rock, so my business partner wasn't too happy with that. I said, yeah, I don't want to put my name on the album cover, man. I want to stand on the corner of my neighborhood and take the picture, and that's the record cover, you know? So, you know, like, my mentality has always been punk rock. And It Takes a Nation of Millions by Public Enemy and Straight Outta Compton by NWA. They're punk rock records. They don't sound like it, but they're punk rock in theory. that's what influenced me. That type of philosophy, you know what I'm saying? Of, all right, here's the system. Fuck this system. I don't work inside of this system. You know what I'm saying? So, not putting your name on an album cover is the stupidest fucking thing you can do. So I was like, yeah, let's do that.
The new Porsche is a lot faster. The blue avatar face on the yacht
The
mat.
new Jedi Mind Tricks is coming at the end of the year. It's called The Bridge in the Abyss. We have a bunch of stuff already done. I've done like 16 joints, and I don't even feel like I started yet. So I'm gonna just keep on recording, and then Stoop and I will sit down and we have everything and say, all right, we have to make this a cohesive, you know what I'm saying, record that makes sense with pieces to the puzzle, you know what I'm saying? So once all the pieces of the puzzle are there, we'll put them together the correct way and it'll come out.